You're listening to the Gutsy Podcast, where we talk about all things real, raw, and ridiculous about running a business authentically. I'm Laura Wallace, also known as the Laura Aura, lover of all things inspirational, owner of Works Graphic Design, and your host on this journey through entrepreneurship. I'm here to help you get out of your head and back into action as a passionate business rock star. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday as we fuel your gutsy. Let's face it, it's hard enough to build in time for a physical workout routine, let alone time to build the muscles in our mind. We are overwhelmed with responsibilities, emails, to-dos, goals, and let's face it, everyday life crap. And while the most important thing we have is our mind and our body, it's often the first thing we let go of. Today, we're talking about maintaining a healthy mind and body, and I couldn't think of a better guest than Tina Fraley, the owner of Fit Minded Living. After having her, wait for it, seventh child, I just want to emphasize that, seventh child, Tina decided that it was time to reconnect with herself. She wanted to develop a positive relationship between her mind, body, and spirit. She started that journey by first losing 150 pounds of her physical body, which led her to understand the emotional aspects to physical transformation. She's since developed a 3-step process for strengthening the balance, confidence, and joy in everyday life. And with a certificate in personal training, nutrition, and mindset mentoring, and over 20 years in the mental health field, she's helped thousands of men and women overcome their obstacles to live a healthier, happier life. Tina, welcome to the Gutsy Podcast.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
Oh, girl, that was such a mouthful of awesomeness. You've done some really incredible things in your journey.
It has been amazing. I have learned so much and grown so much over all of these years. It is just insurmountable to really hold into one picture.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what you have to share. So first of all, 7 children and 150 pounds. Girl, you do not play small.
No, not at all. I absolutely have loved being a mom of 7. It definitely was not on my to-do list when it comes to my life. But it has changed me in every possible way. And I talk a lot about those 7 children raising me just as much as I've been raising them through this.
Oh, I can only even imagine. Just kudos and hands down to you just immediately because of that.
Thank you.
What are their age ranges, if I may ask?
So my oldest one is 22. I have a 21-year-old, 18, 17, 16, 13, and 9.
Oh, so you're getting all the ranges of emotions from both a child and parent perspective.
Oh my God, yes. From any given day, there's how do I apply to college, to Barbie doll house parties and tea, and then your middle of the road, teach me how to drive. I want my license. It's
my goodness. I mean, just the balance in that, let alone being a woman and a husband and a wife to a husband. Like, what would you recommend? I literally am lost for words right now. So what advice do you give like a growing family? Because, obviously that takes an impeccable amount of balance and creativity.
Absolutely, yes. My best advice, I would say, is live every single day as it comes to you. I have learned that one probably the most over all of the years and through all of the different experiences, whether it was having kiddo number 7 or taking on the weight loss journey, taking each day 24 hours at a time, nothing more, nothing less. One of my mentors along the road gave me a quote that I have it tacked everywhere in my home in little ways, that you cannot keep one foot in the past and one foot in the future because you'll be pissing on your present. So
oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
It really brought it home for me. So I live that way, breathe that way, and teach that way, whether it's a client or one of my kids.
That's great advice. It reminds me of like, yesterday is gone and tomorrow's not here yet. So we're literally standing in our moment every day, but we're always either overthinking something that's already happened or completely immersed in something that's ahead.
Yes. That overthinking is what will stop us from living our life to its fullest and actually being the best us that we can be in those moments.
Ugh.
So just breaking it down into the little baby steps, even if it's from here to the kitchen table to the refrigerator for the food, just knowing each step you're taking is on purpose and has an end goal in sight.
So as we're talking about having a healthy mind, I think that overthinking is one of the most intense challenges from a mental aspect that we have to work through as people, and specifically as women.
Mm-hmm.
What suggestions do you have? What advice do you have to combat overthinking?
Journaling is one of the best ways that I have found. Just not allowing yourself to be so trapped inside of your own mind and body, releasing it, whether it's verbally or on paper. I use my phone's voice memo to do verbal journals, and I do different books with plain paper and just kind of word vomit out there. I also use a planner that's called the High Performance Planner, and it's very regimented, specific questions every single day. So it really helps me to focus and send my intentions where I want them.
I think that you tapped into something really important, and that's about being intentional, because half of the battle with overthinking is getting away from your intentions in the first place. So from just like a healthy mindset aspect, how do you channel into intentional thinking?
For intentional thinking, I would say the first step I do is capture my breathing. I've noticed for myself that I will tend to be speeding through things, whether it's my breath or my thinking or even my physical body is just moving really fast. So pulling myself back, whether it's sitting down on the chair or just kind of stopping and standing up against a wall to kind of ground me, just picturing my feet in the floor and taking 3 deep breaths is a really simple way for me to just go, okay, I'm here. What do I want? And then setting the intentions for the moment, the day, the situation, that kind of thing.
Breathing is one of the most underestimated tools that we have. I mean, yeah, we do it subconsciously, but the power of just like being still. I think
Yes,
we forget to be still.
we do. And we forget just how powerful and strong we actually freaking are in life. When you really step back and think about it. I mean, just as a woman in general, whether you do have kids or you don't, we physically come to the planet ready, set, and able to have a person come out of our body.
I mean, let's just acknowledge that for a second. Humans come out of our bodies.
Exactly. And when I fully started to comprehend, it may have taken me a while given that I had 7, but when I fully comprehended that, oh my God, like I really do know how to do this. I know how to take care of myself. I know how to make myself happy. I know how to calm myself, how to soothe myself, how to comfort myself, and how to grow myself. What are the things that I'm putting in the way of me actually being my own strength and honoring and celebrating it?
Honoring and celebrating yourself. You know, I think too, we get wrapped up in everyone else's thoughts and opinions and our responsibilities, and we just get away from, before anything, we were us. We were
Yes.
ourselves.
Yeah, that reconnecting with who you are is such a huge, huge growth moment. It's a pivotal life moment. For me, it was something that I know that I had probably put off for lack of a better way of putting it. I got so lost in being a mom and being a wife and being a college student and just trying to do the things I was supposed to do that I didn't actually get to be the person I was. That's where my weight came from. That's where the overwhelm with my mind came from. That's where the chaos thrives in. And knowing that I had a choice, that I could choose myself, is what changed all that for me.
So I love a good backstory, and you led right into what I was about to ask you, and is obviously this something has happened in your journey to get you to this point. So take me back a couple of decades. Tell me about where you were physically and mentally before you started on this new healthier journey.
So 9 years ago, I had my seventh kiddo. I I knew that I had always struggled with my weight. It was something that always teeter-tottered. I'm an emotional eater, and I know that was my struggle point. I've probably at that point had tried 20 plus different attempts at different ways to lose weight. Some were really good options, some were ones that landed me in the emergency room because they were not such good options.
Wow.
Um, those were really hard moments because they were even medically advised. One of the prescription weight loss options that I was given was called phentermine, and it worked. And then it worked so well that it actually had me black out because I wasn't eating. So that's a huge underlining moment for why eating is such a huge part of today's nutrition goals for me. Um, when I was starting out, I realized that I had to go at this with a conscious, intentional way to be healthy, not a quick fix, not something that was going to work for a couple of weeks and then I would be back where I started from yet again. So the moment that everything just shifted for me, it was probably about 3 a.m. in the morning. Bella was four weeks old, so really little. I was still breastfeeding, and I had taken her into the side room to do a early morning feeding, and I got really frustrated because the boppy that I had wouldn't fit around me. I was almost 300 pounds at that point. At my postpartum appointments, they had talked about my blood pressure still not coming down, the pre-diabetic options that I was going to have to look at and see realistically were happening because of the weight I was at and how unhealthy I was at that point. I remember looking down at Bella's face. My youngest daughter is Bella. She was the most amazing, beautiful thing that I had ever seen in my entire life. And in that moment, I realized I had a choice. If I wanted to be around to see her grow up, if I wanted to make the change and the differences that I didn't for my prior six, I needed to shit or get off the pot. It could not be another failed diet scheme. It couldn't be another quick fix option that was going to just hurt me more. I was running through the TV that night trying to get her calm and myself calm, and I came across a program and decided to buy it. It came in the mail, and then it sat on my entertainment center and collected dust for about 3 more months. When I finally got up the gutsy to do it, my husband did it with me because I was too scared to do it by myself. He was amazing. And every night would come home, we would take turns putting the kids to bed, getting them settled with snack and showers and everything. And then we would go in my side room and we would do this 60-minute program that literally kicked my ass. It was P90X, and it was something I had never envisioned being able to do. The movements were so challenging, but I showed up and I started to build this emotional integrity within myself, and that momentum is what kept me going. I dropped 50 pounds in 90 days, and I'm like, holy crap,
Wow.
I can do this, and I did it. The problem was I only exercised. So one day of skipping the exercise turns into 2 days, and then before you know it, you're like not moving at all. And you've got all those old habits feeding back in, and I gained 42 pounds back. So I realized I had to do it again. I had to start over. This time I was going to come at it from a different angle and add in the eating component, the nutrition, and just trying to understand it. Now, at that point, I still hadn't gone through any certifications for training or exercise education or any of that. I was just doing this myself as myself. And I started to slowly just clean up my foods. Portion size still wasn't really a focus at that time. I knew that if I ate salad, it was better than the greasy cheeseburger. And that was like my litmus test. So I did the exercise program again for another 90 days. And then I had added in the nutritional component of just purposefully choosing healthier options. And I dropped that weight off. And another program came to my home, and I continued to do one after the other after the other. I went from a size 26 down to a size 6. It took me a year and a half to do it. And I was a different person. The mindset piece started to really play in at that moment because I didn't recognize who I was in the mirror. There were pictures of me from that beginning point to the current point where I was at a year and a half later, and friends and neighbors didn't recognize who the person in the old picture was. And I'm like, no, that was me. It was completely life-changing because not only did I gain my health back, I regained a connection to my mental and spiritual self that literally went non-existent for probably the better half of my entire life. I gave myself back life, and it was life-changing is such an understatement because I wasn't being the mom I wanted to be, and I wasn't being the wife that my husband deserved. I wasn't the friend that I knew I needed. Being able to lose the physical weight gave me the ability to lose the mental pains from so much that had gone on in my childhood and in my first marriage. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and I hadn't processed it. And that was a great deal of where most of that weight came from as well. I held on to so much, and it physically manifested in my life over the years. And developing a conscious and intentional plan of moving my body every day, eating foods that served me, and learning to believe in myself again. Those were the essentials. That's where I turn to every single day now for myself and even for my children. I've got my 20-year-old went through a lot of the same behaviors and food traumas that I did. He just as lucky as I was to have that emotional eating turn to. And when I was able to do this for myself, he was able to join in, and he dropped 40 pounds doing the same exact programs, eating the same style on a day-to-day basis, and learning to believe in himself again. So it wasn't just me giving my life back. I was giving life to one of my children that needed it most. And it just continues. The ripple effect is endless when you choose to take back your life and own it.
Oh my gosh, Tina. Like, I wish I could physically hug you right now because, one, thank you for your transparency and vulnerability. I mean, I just think that sometimes we live behind walls and think that we're the only ones. And I know that your story is going to penetrate the heart of somebody because they're going to know that they're not alone. So first and foremost, thank you for that. And
Absolutely.
second, like, fucking kudos to you. Like, like, I just feel like you're a machine, you know. I may be a little biased because I know you personally, but also, like, you know, change is not easy. Changing your life is not easy. Dealing with trauma is not easy. You know, it's so easy, quote unquote, to stay where you are and keep doing the same things that you're doing.
You're right.
It's really hard to make those big changes and those sometimes temporary sacrifices. So the fact that, you know, you state that starting over is hard, it is. It's really hard, but it's also 100% doable, and you are proof that that is true.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're right. Changes you is what I try to share as I go through this and get the opportunity to share my experience. And I do look at it as I am proof that you can fucking get through anything in life if you choose to. There is another side of it. When you stop and you choose to unpack your bags and make the choice to live your life while you're here to live it, because we do have a time where that's not going to be there. We don't know it. We don't know when that off switch hits. But while we're here, if we're not living, we're surviving. We're not thriving at anything. And we're robbing ourselves of everything we've been given the gift to have while we're here. And we're robbing the people that we come into contact and connection with by not being our authentic self.
I could not agree with you more. It's just your light shines brightest when you're your authentic self. And that means caring for your mind and your body the way that it needs it. I mentioned in the beginning is, we are our most powerful tool, yet we are typically the first thing to go. It's easiest to not eat right ourselves. It's easier to not exercise ourselves. It's easier to just stay up late multiple nights in a row working.
Absolutely.
Because we're controlling that.
We are, and we need to give ourselves credit for that. And that's probably one of the first steps that you can take, is just owning the fact that you get to make the choices. I tell a lot of people, it's called my Pop-Tart story. Years back, I used to be one of those crazy fanatical coupon ladies. The local grocery stores knew me by name, and they saw my binder coming before I parked in the lot. So I just thought it was amazing that if you couponed, you could create this stockpile for yourself and not break bank. I had 7 kids, so I kind of had to work on a budget if I wanted to feed them. But it taught me something through the process, because the couponing mentality, you're trying to save. You're trying to create a bank for yourself. In that respect, it was food. I had probably about 40 coupons. I can't tell you that secret on how, but it happened. There were 40 $1 off coupons for Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. So I went to Weiss. Oh, let me back up. It was 99 cents. Sorry. It was a 99-cent coupon. I had 40 of them. Weiss doubles your coupons. So when the Pop-Tarts are on sale for $1.99 and the store is doubling your coupons, you come home with a shit ton of Pop-Tarts.
That's a lot of Pop-Tarts.
Yes, it is. So the thing I realized is, if I don't buy the Pop-Tarts, my kids can't eat the Pop-Tarts. Now, that goes across the board. It could be anything. If you don't bring it into your life, you don't have to suffer from it. If you choose what is surrounding you, the people that you connect yourself with, the things you're feeding your mind, the things you're feeding your body, are up to you. So if you don't want Pop-Tarts, or whatever the thing is in your life that is stopping you from kicking ass and being the best you that you want to be, if you're not pulling it into your life, you got to stop and go, why? Why am I not where I want to be? Because you have the answer inside of you.
So I have a question for you, because I think that this is a common problem, and I've heard it and experienced it myself. We have unhealthy habits, some things in our life. We know it's not good for us. We know we need to make a change, but inevitably we don't. Why is that, and how do we overcome that?
I would say that it is a complex answer. No one answer is going to set it off.
Of course.
I would say the starting point is, do you realize how much you matter? Do you truly have an understanding of how miraculous it is that you're here in life, here on the planet, in your family's life, in your own? Do you know how fucking lucky you are to be breathing? Because there's so many people that don't have that option. There are so many of us that can't move. There are so many people that don't have the opportunities that we have. And We have a responsibility. It's not just an opportunity. It's a responsibility to be healthy. My own personal journey with that one specifically, I was 17. I had a horrific car accident that completely stopped me cold. I went from being active, softball, baseball, football, field hockey, you name it, I did it. I came, even though my family was a little sideways at times, my brother and I came from a very strong sports-oriented family. This car accident stopped me cold. The car was supposed to turn to the right, and we turned to the left and went over an embankment, a railroad track, and clipped the top 4 feet of a telephone pole and hit and rolled and hit and rolled. And the top of the Mustang caved in. I was upside down. My head was under the dash. My feet were twisted in the back seat. I was medevaced to Baltimore shock trauma and spent months in the hospital and then months in a back brace that completely immobilized me and taught me that there was more to life than what I realized I was living. The ability to move today, I celebrate because I was taught that there is a time that you can't. Every challenge I have, whether it's a new exercise or a new breathing technique or a new mindset model that I'm learning, I enter it with the knowledge that I have the opportunity, the privilege, and the responsibility to do it 110% all in every time because I matter.
You do matter. And that type of story is the kind that really, sometimes you need to be rattled a little bit. And I think hearing that is a great reminder that, we are in control of a lot, but there's also a lot that we're not in control of. And
yes.
we have this mind and we have this body and we have these aspirations. Geez, you're going to get me crying. I don't remember the last time I cried on one of our own episodes. It's just, I think that we forget that we are a human. We do matter. We are a gift and we have something really invaluable to bring the world, yet we get so caught up in the bullshit and minutia of everything else that we forget about ourselves.
We do. We have to remember that we are a human being, capital B-E. We are not a human that's been. We are a human being in every single moment, which means it is okay to fuck up and get back up and try again. It is okay to not know. It is okay to be afraid. It is okay to not understand. Look for the next step in front of you. That's it. That's all you have to do is just look for the next step. Be your authentic self in it and believe that you're worthy of it, just like everyone else is. One of the most magical moments for me as a coach is getting a mom in front of me and having them know that they can love themselves just like they love their children. That they can invest and put into themselves the exact amount of effort and love and adoration and fucking respect that they give their children. They can put it into themselves because it's not a I matter too concept. It's a I matter as well. I matter in this moment just as much.
I feel like I'm writing down quotes from you, like faster than I can get my pen. Like my pen won't write fast enough. What is wrong with my hand? Gosh, this is why it's so important to lean into who you are, because listen to the impact that you have, literally. Had you not listened to that voice and that calling, had you not bought that tape and done P90X twice, had you not leaned into healing emotional trauma, like you wouldn't be here today telling this story, who's inspiring heaven knows how many other women that are going to be listening to this. And I think that sometimes we lose sight of the impact that we can have. And we may not always see and feel the end result to a lot of people, but how incredible is it when someone comes up to you after she's been working out with you and tells you how transformational her life is, or you see her on the street and you see that she's just glowing or happy, or hell, even someone who has just started, like literally today, right now, we're starting. Like that impact is just mind blowing because you followed who you're supposed to be, who you are as your essence.
It's a blessing. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever been able to witness is another woman owning her strength, whether it's a new move that they're doing in an exercise program with me, or it's a new boundary they set for themselves in their marriage, or a new way they've chosen to figure out how to connect with their children, or a new moment where they literally embrace the rebirth of themselves as a woman, not just mom, not just wife, not just boss, not just employee, cousin, grandmother, all the roles that we play in our lives. To watch, witness, and be a part of another woman's ability to have herself back is beyond anything I've ever conceived of being able to witness in my life. It is a gift, and I am so grateful for it.
You know, I think that when amazing women come together and support other amazing women, that such beautiful things can happen. And just having the support system, I think sometimes that's one of the most challenging things about being a woman that's trying to make change is having the support team around you. You know, who you surround yourself with has an enormous impact on what you do or what you don't do.
It
So
does.
how do you build a tribe around, okay, I know I need to get healthier. I know I need to work on myself mentally and physically. And what are some recommendations that you have about building a strong tribe that encourages you along the way?
Reach out to your local community for volunteer opportunities. Reach out, look for your Rotary groups, your homeless shelters, your churches. Those are just some of the immediate ways that you can kind of reach to it. I joined a Rotary locally, a Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually getting involved with a local food bank here, and my daughter and I are going to be doing that together. Looking for options at the school, talking to the guidance counselors and finding out if there's a way that you can serve in any capacity, the local PTAs with the schools. Also, Facebook being what it is, social media being what it is, we have no excuses to not connect with people because even for those of us like myself, believe it or not, I'm highly introverted. I love being a part, but I get really nervous in the beginnings until I get kind of like familiarized with everything. So closed groups on Facebook were a huge avenue for me to grow myself and my confidence and to connect with people I would have never met otherwise. Look for kind of just plug in moms in the Facebook groups. Work at home moms was an option that I took because it really fast. There's a whole lot of us. But just simple ways to connect that aren't going to overwhelm you and allow you the opportunity to kind of grow from where you're at. You don't need to go all in and join this big elaborate group that just is overwhelming and kind of inundating emotionally. Start where you're at.
Start where you're at. That's beautifully simplistic advice. So I know a lot of the things that we're talking about today, women are like, yeah, I want that. Yeah, I'm hungry for that. I want to do that. But Tina, I have no freaking idea how to even start. Like, this all seems maybe even overwhelming to me because I am carrying around, traumatic things that are manifesting in my body, like you mentioned. I am overwhelmed at work. I do feel like I have too many responsibilities. So what do you recommend? How does one start a process of healing, both mentally and physically?
Ooh, that's a big question. So I can only speak from my own personal experience. Starting out, look for a mentor, whether they can be someone that's physically in your presence, or you can watch them on YouTube or read their book or go to their meetings. Find someone that you can receive inspiration from. For me, it was Tony Robbins. I started with YouTube videos in this little juncture, but backstory, I was like 8 years old when I discovered Tony Robbins. There were cassette tapes, those things that, yeah, it was a long time ago. But that was a way for me to raise my current standard, because looking around at my life, that was the thing that was missing. There wasn't anyone that was feeding that part of my mind. I was going to school, so I had that educational component that was kind of growing me educationally, but it wasn't fulfilling me. And that's the difference. Books is probably a huge go-to. I recommend books like The Charged Life by Brendan Burchard. If you like more, if your brain's more of the like munchy on numbers and lines and like very finite type stuff, he has one called High Performance People, and that's a really good one as well. Let me think. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It
Love that.
was a phenomenal book. And then Dean Graziosi is another one that I have followed. My brain's literally going flat for this one.
No, that's great. These are all great books. It sounds like, I think sometimes we think to build in a routine, we have to like join the biggest gym and we have to get all the right gear, and then we have to build in this whole like regimen, and it just becomes really big and really overwhelming, so therefore we do nothing. So
no, absolutely the opposite. The opposite is what will give you the most out of that. Start super close to where you are right now. So like when you get up tomorrow morning, put your feet on the floor and put your hand over your heart and take 3 deep breaths. And in those 3 deep breaths, remember, holy crap, my heart's beating. Oh my God, I have a day ahead of me. Thank you. I get to serve in some way, shape, or form today, yourself and others as you go. And that's how I start my mornings every day. I put my feet on the floor. I have those breaths. I take my hand to my heart, and I remember that I'm here. I get to do something now. And then I have my meditations. I have my journaling. And somewhere in there, I have scheduled my workouts. In the beginning, when I go at it from a coaching standpoint, I actually have my clients break up this process. So for the first week or 2, I just have them pick one thing to work on. So if it's their mind and they're trying to find a mentor or start a book, that's what they do for the first 2 weeks, just so you can get your feet wet and you don't feel like you're drowning in it. Because it's really easy, like we talked about earlier, to get caught up in that overwhelm, hit the fuck it switch, and then you're back to square one again.
Yeah, we all have a fuck it switch on standby.
Yes. And then so the second, third, and fourth week, focus on foods. Focus on just introducing a new food. Like it doesn't have to be, oh my God, I don't get to have any of the foods I want anymore. Pizza is banned. Like that doesn't happen in my life. I don't say no to foods. I say not yet. I say not right now. I say that doesn't serve me, but I don't say no. And that's a huge gift, I believe, I've given to myself and the people that I work with, is you don't have to say no to the shit you love. You just have to figure out a way to work it into your life so that it serves your purpose.
That's oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's such an important, I think automatically we assume like, okay, well, I want to lose weight. Now I can never have cheesecake ever again in my life. So why would I do that? Screw it. I only live once. I'm going to eat all the damn cheesecake.
Right. That would be cruel.
Except our bodies are still physically challenged, and we're not maintaining a healthy balance in life. So I love that, going on a diet or losing weight or, just really regaining health doesn't mean that you rob yourself of everything that brings you joy from a food and drink perspective.
Right. You're regaining your self-control, your self-power, your self-perception. So much of losing weight is actually about gaining. And it's such a misnomer and completely oxymoronic and backwards, because our first thoughts is depletion, deprivation, annihilation. My life is over. It's not. You get way more choices when you decide that you want to live more of your life. You get to sit back in a gorgeous chair and just kind of imagine and ruminate and believe again. The whole world in front of you opens up the moment you decide that you want to live.
You have so much power. It's why we do power backs every Thursday, right? We give away power in so many different areas of our lives. This is just another way to take power back. Is you, again, it goes back to what you said earlier. You get to decide. Like, you literally are a human being that gets to physically and mentally decide today. And
Yes.
and getting out of bed in the morning and standing and putting your hand on your heart takes almost zero effort and costs zero money.
True.
It also takes what? A minute and a
Gutsy.
half?
It takes gutsy.
It does take gutsy. Yeah, exactly. It's all about being conscious about implementing these things into your life. And I think another setback a lot of people have is, I'm too busy. I don't have time for exercise. I don't have time for meal planning. I don't have time to go to the grocery store every other day. How do you help coach women through that really challenging obstacle?
Okay, so that was me in so many ways. My go-to excuse was, "You're nuts. I don't have time for this." But you have to put it in perspective. So one of my favorite mentors, like I mentioned earlier, is Tony Robbins, and he has a quote that says, "If you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life." So that's just very
Oh,
ingrained in my brain. Um, the key to taking time for yourself is, one, remembering you're the one making the time. Number two, choosing how to go about doing it most effectively. So what I do when I have a client in front of me, because I did it for myself as well, I did the split your paper down the middle. And on one side, from the time my eyeballs open till the time my ass hits my bed, I number off the time frames, and then I list everything I did that day. And that's what I have them do. From the moment they wake up, they went to the bathroom, they put the kid on the bus, they made breakfast, they skipped breakfast, they went to the office, they starved and forgot lunch. All of it, all the way down. The carpool, the friend's coffee spot, like everything. And then on the other side, I have them write the same exact times. So if they got up at 4:44 a.m. on one day, it's 4:44 a.m. on the other side of that paper, and it mimics the time frame all the way down. On the second half of that paper, you put what you want your day to look like.
mm.
Once you have that side by side, you have that lovely little center that has a line down the middle of it, but that is your line of center and balance. That is your equilibrium line. That is your core to your day. Look at side one on the left and look at side two on the right at 4:44 a.m. and 4:44 a.m. Did you get up at the time you wanted to get up? Yes or no? Breakfast. Did you have one? Did you not? Bus stop time. Did it go well? Did it not? All the way down your schedule, you're looking to see, where can I tweak things? Where can I put more of myself in my day? How much time am I spending scrolling through my phone on aimless feed that isn't serving my mind? It's actually numbing it. How much of my time did I waste not doing something I wanted to do? Those are going to be the things, those are the hard answers, but they're the solution to giving you more of the life you want to live.
It's beautiful. That was literally giving me chills when you were talking about that, because we give away so much of our time and don't even realize it. We just we get into autopilot. We get into routine. We get into expectations. We get into everybody and their brother needs something from us. And then we go to bed at night and we think, what have I done today? I'm upset. I'm bitter. Oh, I was going to eat better, but I didn't have a chance to. I was going to exercise, but now I'm too tired. And then we rinse, cycle, repeat.
Yes.
And that's how it happens.
Absolutely. You have the power to change that.
I think it's also really important to recognize that, what are we making time for, which is taking away from the time of the things that we need more intention of. So you talked about scrolling, right? Okay, that's if you have an iPhone, it tells you how many hours a day you spend on your phone. It's kind of it's kind of painful to even see that sometimes, but we have time to scroll through Facebook for an hour and a half every day, but we say we don't have time to work out for 30 minutes. So it's sometimes it's really just taking a step back and asking yourself, where are you allowing time to slip out of your hands, and what needs rearranged?
It's a very good way to put it. It's very powerful to put it that way. And it reminds us where our strength is and who's running this show. Because no one's taking time from us. No one is getting in the way of us giving time to us, except for ourselves.
100%. I have a question about the mind-body connection, because I feel like you can invest in one, but it's more important to invest in both. So how does the mind and the body affect one another when one or the other is not dealt with? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the way I look at it, my mind, my body, and my spirit are kind of like a chair that I choose to sit in. If it's off balance, one leg of that chair, like when you go to a restaurant and they don't have their chairs or their tables quite
oh
right.
Oh my God. And it just has that like little back and forth knocking. Yes.
So we go through life. I mean, back in the day, it used to be like a matchbook. You would kind of shove underneath the gap between the floor and to fill in where the teeter-totter was taking place. We go through our lives and we have these matchbooks. Sometimes it's food. Sometimes it's booze. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's emotions. Maybe it's career choices, so on and so forth. All of these things that happen in our lives, we can tend to use them to fill and bridge a gap between us and the life we're meaning to live in authentic truth. We can use those things and they become excuses. So in my own personal experience, my kids became excuses to take time away, and I couldn't do things for myself. My husband became one of those excuses. My school became one of those excuses. When I took the time, and I phrase it like that on purpose, I had to take the time for myself. I sat in that chair and I felt the teeter-totter, and I didn't want that imbalance in my life anymore. I didn't want to feel trapped in my body, and I didn't want to feel disadvantaged and trapped in my mind. I wanted to feel whole. And my soul was craving life. So pulling back and starting to slowly connect the two through movement and mindset shifts. Learning more about myself, learning that I do love music and I do love concerts and I do love pepperoni and bacon pizza. And I do love to read late at night when everyone has gone to sleep, and that time for myself feels really good. I love to dance. I love to write and sing. Learning who you are and embracing that and enveloping it on a day-to-day basis grows the connection between your physical body and your mental assets. You develop a kindness and a compassion for yourself, the same way you do for your friends, the same way you do for your loved ones, but you're investing it in yourself. And that disparity between your physical body and your soul self starts to diminish when you realize how much you love yourself.
And it's okay to love yourself, isn't it?
Yes. Yes,
That,
yes, yes.
I think sometimes we forget that we don't need that permission, but sometimes we need reminded that we do.
Absolutely, yes.
Uh,
Giving yourself permission to be important is life-changing.
I think that this entire episode is life-changing. In my opinion, I mean, it's conversations like this that really are aligned with the why of why we even do this podcast to begin with, because clearly you went through the situation, which means that you're not the only person. Someone else has gone through a very similar journey, or is in that journey right now, or is about to embark on that journey. And just being able to share the physical and mental space together to be like, hey, I hear you and I got you. Like, I've been through this. Hold my hand, let me walk you through it. Like, that to me is just, it's bigger than life. And it's all because one woman decided to make one change that made an impact. So I can't thank you enough.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you
Ugh.
so much.
This has been a phenomenal conversation. I have to ask, how can we stay in touch with you? How can we talk more to you about your 3-step process? There's so much more that we could dig into, but I definitely want to make sure that our listeners have an opportunity to connect with you directly.
So I live on Facebook. If you go to Fit Minded Living on Facebook, or feel free to hit me up on my personal page, Tina Fraley. And I do have a website in the works. I'm excited to be able to bring that forward. Right now, it's under construction. So check back. It'll be fitmindedliving.com. But there is just oodles of stuff to learn and connect with online at Facebook as well. So
yeah, I'm gonna attest to that. Tina puts out phenomenal content and just very real and raw. I love like your positive body self-image photos that you put up, and it's just really encouraging. So I definitely recommend joining her group on Facebook. She's phenomenal.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
My last question is, Tina, what does gutsy mean to you?
Oh my goodness. Gutsy means that I showed the fuck up no matter what.
I show the fuck up no matter what. I just need a wall of all these gutsy lines because it just makes me smile. Oh, gosh. Well, Tina, I can't thank you enough for sharing your knowledge, your story, your vision, your empathy, your beauty with us. You truly are a gift, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you as well. Please know that I have just oodles and oodles of gratitude for you following your passion, because you are connecting so many women with ways to change their lives and be more present in it, which it's just, the ripple effect is endless. So thank you as well.
Oh, thank you. It's my absolute pleasure. Gosh. Oh, I love this shit. So if you want to keep this party going, join us this Thursday for our Power Back as we talk about letting the little girl inside of you come out to play. There's a beautiful, beautiful little girl that once roamed the forest and had a huge imagination that may have gotten buried underneath. This Thursday, we're going to talk about taking our power back by letting her come out. Until then, follow the Gutsy Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And for more Gutsy insight, follow me personally at that Laura Ora. See you next time.